Hey, oh. Does this song pump you up? It gets me, it gets me in the right mood, man. Good morning, y'all. Well, are we having technical difficulties? I think we are, but that's cool. It's all right. We're good for it. We like technical difficulties. What the heck is going on here? There we go. There it is. Hey, got it. We got it. Ladies and gentlemen, my savages, what the deal is. Mm, okay. You know, the song's hitting hard today. Mm, Song's hitting hard today. Good morning, my friends. And I actually like to thank each and every one of you. Thank you, my 7,145 Steel Mace Flow students. Well, maybe you're not students. Maybe you just come for the gun show. Well, hey guys, either way, I'd like to personally thank you and welcome you. We are on episode, as you can see, 43. Shout out to 43. This episode is titled Flow-Osophy, and it's part two. We've already done a Flow-Osophy, and this episode was brought up because we need to lift the camera up just a bit. We need to do a little camera editing here. There we go. Oh, there we go. All right. This episode was brought up because, real quick, would love to say good morning to Steel Mace Flow student and possibly soon to be educator, the Munster SMF. Good morning, track star. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. But this episode was brought up or came to mind as a valuable lesson based off of a goof up I did yesterday. I goofed up. Me, coach. They classify me as a goofer. You guys know that? Yeah. Uh-huh. Classified goofer. Do me a favor, there's 6 people here watching live. Thank each and every one of you. Please hit that like button for me. Would greatly appreciate it. We're at a big fat goose egg right now. And that's okay. But you're here. Tap the button. I appreciate it. A couple quick announcements. Do want to give today's sponsor. Where is it? Samble. Samble? What? You don't know nothing about Samble? Boy, you need to know something about Samble. Uh, 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 uh. Bang! I went ahead and put a little link down there in the chat. If you guys aren't familiar with Sambo, it is the #1 place in the world currently to train in steel mace. That's right. There are, I don't know, like 30 or 40 steel mace flow highly educated students who are online teaching. And that brings us to our first philosophy. I don't know if you guys know this, but I live in the great country of America. And I think like all countries, there is there's a lot of arguing going on. And I'm not here to get into politics or who did what right or who did what wrong, but I want to share something with you, a philosophy in life. Well, not a long time ago, but there's a mace guy who asked why there were so many steel mace flow styles. Why are there so many off-brand steel mace flow styles? You got primal mace flow, you got mace bell flow, you got 2 people who are teaching mace flow. 2 people have their own brand of steel mace flow, and they both call it mace flow. Okay, we're running out of names, maybe. I don't know. but but it's caused a little bit of conflict, I guess, and maybe I've been part of that conflict because who likes their life's work being ripped off? Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. I'll be honest with you. Sometimes there's spreading the word, and then there's bad business. Okay. And sometimes it's rubbed me the wrong way, but one of the ways I've dealt with this, and I'd like to hand over this philosophy for you. The reason why there are different sides is so you have choice. It was super cool to be the only Steel Mace Flow brand in the world, and it was great. Like to have a dream, to put it on paper, to dream so big your dream became a reality, to chase the American dream of becoming an entrepreneur, to create something out of nothing, to pull out of the void and give life to my son, Steel Mace Flow. It felt good. But one thing it did, being the only one, is that it limited your choice. If you wanted to learn Steel Mace Flow, you had to learn it from Leo. And believe it or not, I'm not for everybody. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? Not everybody wants to learn from me. And so, although it might make me feel a certain type of way at times, I would be a fool to not recognize that we are many people and we need many different voices, and we should have many different choices. And so I appreciate the people who have continued to teach Steel Mace Flow in their pseudo names, Mace Flow, Primal Flow, whatever. Um, I'm glad you have a choice. I'm super glad that you have a choice. And as far as all the arguing out there goes, I know there's like one side over here and one side over there. But honestly, if we all agreed on something, it wouldn't really leave us with much of a choice. So, in your Steel Mace education, in your Steel Mace Flow education, there's nothing wrong with learning from other coaches. And most artists, true genius isn't appreciated until long after that person who created that thing, singing that song, starring that movie is gone. And so, while my time for appreciation may not be at the forefront of everybody's mind, I do know that one day when my rocket ship of life, my rock and roll lead guitarist, acid wash jeans of a life, whenever the roller coaster does end, I know that my work will be greatly appreciated. And and so that's that. One of the Flow-Osophies. One of the Flow-Osophies. Bigger than a pioneer, track star, I am the creator. I am the guy who gave birth, not just a pioneer. Sure, I'm a pioneer. And thank you for the compliment. But one thing that has held back the Steel Mace Flow community is arguing. Instead of us recognizing that it can be beneficial to open our minds up, um, what is the point of not having other information? What's the point? I love to have other information. One of the saddest things about being Steel Mace Flow, Leo the educator, creator, pioneer, head guru, flow father, maestro of mace, is it makes it very hard for people to teach me. And I would love to have other instructors and other people teach me about life and flow and mace. And why that's not entirely my fault. What I can own up for is my ego has often gotten in the way sometimes of me taking in other information from other mace flow artists. And that's just the truth of it. So even myself, I have been a victim of my own ego as far as education goes. And I'd like to tell you guys something. You don't owe me anything. You don't owe Still Makes Flow anything. You owe yourself the journey of life. And so, you don't need to be brand loyal to a Steel Mace Flow. I would encourage you to learn from many people and enjoy some of the riches of life that I didn't get to be part of. Now, that doesn't mean I haven't learned my lessons in time. And now we're actually going to get into the lesson. I'm going to go ahead and pick up my blue mace as we usually do, and we'll talk about my blunder yesterday. It wasn't a big blunder. But what I like to do on this channel is I like to use my tiny blue mace. I have always enjoyed making the most out of what I have. And when I found the Onnit 10-pound mace, I became extremely fascinated and had this amazing goal of getting as absolutely fit as I can with only the 10-pound mace. And we traveled that road for such a long time. And it was the build of the 10-pound steel mace that developed a lot of the techniques that you guys might practice. And so yesterday I taught the hangman flow. And the hangman, or the hangman swing, which is a 360 that we do from a kinetic swing with a 360 where the mace touches your shoulders. We taught you the backhand swing, which is you put the back of your hand on your mace and you swing, and we examined the instability that it can create. We manipulated our grip to where the back of the hand stayed facing towards the camera, and in doing so, we learned how to grip our mace from side to side. We also learned from there how to guide our mace with our opposite hand and unwind the tension, and voila, we end back in our starting position. We learned that you can add steps with our beautiful movement. We learned that you can use those steps to add different lunges, maybe your favorite lunges. But one thing we didn't do is we did not use a full-size mace, an Onnit 10-pound mace. And that brings us into another Flow-Osophy. Wait, there's two Flow-Osophies in this lesson? There are. I know you guys are asking for the blue mace, and I haven't been able to provide it for you guys, but we're working on it. I have gotten quite a few comments that say I can't do that move because I don't have that blue mace. Well, one thing I learned about practicing only with the 10-pound mace is that, well, I can do anything with any mace because I'm so practiced. Because I'm so practiced. The backhand swing is just keeping the back of your hand on the mace, and we were just using that to demonstrate the backhand. But let's continue to go down the journey. Because I swung the 10-pound mace, I don't know if I've got 1,000,000 swings yet, or 2,000,000, or 100,000, but I know it's up there. What I can tell you is if you do something right for a very long time, it's hard to get it wrong. And so for me, it doesn't necessarily matter the mace. I can figure out how to do the technique. Which brings us to your lesson for the day. Excuse me, blue mace. Let's first talk about the build of the Onnit 10-pound mace, or the traditional workout mace, or flow mace. Shaolin 360 can also be exactly what you said, my friend the monster. When I first looked at the anatomy of the mace, one of the first things I appreciated was the round head. The round head was smaller than a sledgehammer and allowed for closer interaction. And not only closer interaction, but I didn't have to guess or pay attention to where the sledgehammer side of the hammer was. Meaning I could get the mace really close to my nose and not ever wonder if I was going to hit myself with the bulbous head of the sledgehammer. The second thing I noticed on this mace were the grips. There was a grip on the bottom. There's a grip in the middle. The next thing I noticed is that there were two spots where the mace had a nice flat surface with no knurling. There's one at the very top, and there's one in between the two grips. And I always thought of those as the slides. Well, you've got two hand grips, so to me, what I thought was, Eric, this is all your fault, by the way. What I thought was, why are there two handles? Well, if there's two handles, it's probably for places to put your hands. And so what I learned quickly is that you don't have to use all your mace. You don't. For some reason, whenever I hand anybody a mace, and even if they don't have any experience, they go to the very bottom. And, they try and hit the 360. Maybe they hit it, maybe they don't. That's not the point. But using the anatomy of the mace, did you know you don't have to use all of it? Especially in learning techniques. We can do a 360 from the middle grip. And it's as crystal clear as the traditional 360 from the bottom grip. We can do 10 and 2s, and the list goes on. Let's look at another move, the ballistic curl, which is a very simple move in which we go from landmark 2 into crossbody top, into praying hands, into crossbody top, and into landmark 2 on the other side. Eric, don't be sorry. This is such an amazing lesson, or at least I think so. Well, as you can see, I'm using all of the mace. My hands on the bottom grip and my hands in the top, actually, where there is no grip. And so in this lesson, what you're learning is your hands do not have to be designated to the grip. Obviously, if I'm holding the top of the mace and using the head of the mace to create tension, well, there's probably a reason or different skills that we can learn from the top of the mace, even though there's no grip. Because there's no grip, what I started to do is I started to call these the slips or the slides, and I learned how to use the mace, the anatomy of the mace, to slide from position to position. In working with the mace, you can use all of it. Obviously, using all of the mace feels different. I know that the mace weighs 10 pounds. But it doesn't always feel like it weighs 10 pounds. It feels like it weighs 10 pounds right here, holding the top, holding the head of the mace. But the taller the mace gets, the more I work down the mace, the heavier it feels. Obviously, stability becomes a factor, and that's what makes the weight feel heavier. Let's continue to look at our ballistic curl. Did you know the ballistic curl can be done in a wide grip or it can be done in a short grip? And if it can be done basically in both grips, middle grip, bottom grip, middle grip, middle grip, both grips. If it can be used or has the middle grip, and you don't have to use the full mace, what you can do is, I love this, you can work your way up the mace. Now this is something we practice, the knurlings and the slides. So the knurling is the grip, and the slides are the slip. Steel Mace Monster, I want to give a big shout out to Steel Mace Monster for asking questions, for being involved in class. It is very much appreciated. Did you know that using less of the mace may not feel lighter? However, it may feel lighter than using all of the mace, but it's not. It stays 10 pounds, even when in motion. It might generate more force or create some lift or momentum to make it feel lighter. However, the further the mace head gets away from you, like so, the more difficult the mace becomes to manage. And so when it comes to skill acquisition, Leo, I can't do the mace move that you're doing because I don't have the same mace. No, I just think you need to have a conversation with yourself. Use half of your mace. Work your way up. Now that I've got my mace held in the middle, they feel about the same. They feel about the same. I know that this is my light mace that weighs half. However, the stability that it takes to own this weight, to create stability in it, when held mid, is very, very similar. And so I like to use this philosophy for all my moves. If there's a move that you're having a hard time doing, and this question was asked yesterday by Eric, what does the hangman look like on a full-size mace? Well, it looks the exact same. It looks the exact same. It works the exact way. And so what this mace gives you, no disrespect to the Gata. The Gata's made for one movement only, the 10 and 2, arguably the 360, but mainly the 10 and 2. Because you have choice, because you have two grips, you can work your way up the mace. You don't have to use all of it. And if it is a skill or a strength, if you're running into complications because of skill or strength, you can adjust the difficulty of your mace on the fly without unscrewing the top. Unscrewing the top. This top doesn't screw off, but there is a couple maces where you screw the top off. And it's not quick. You can screw off the top and take weight off or add weight on. And then screw back on the top. Whew. I feel like I'm starting a campfire with some sticks. You just gotta turn the top on. It's nice to have an adjustable weight mace. I've got one myself. I've actually got one in the hallway. However, if I want to lighten the load, I just use less mace. The hangman swing from the middle of the on-it mace feels incredibly like my 4-pound mace or 5-pound mace. Ooh. Ooh. It's the same pull. It's the same drag. It feels virtually the same. I mean, if there's a middle grip and a bottom grip, it gives you choice. So no matter what the move, if it's a basic move, more mace equals more difficulty. Less mace equals less difficulty. There are some moves that require a full length of an arm. Like crossbody top requires you to fully lengthen your arm. However, when I get to my much smaller, tinier mace, all I have to do is lower my top hand just a little bit. It does become a point where crossbody top starts to bend. And actually, the more mace I use, the less across my body the mace actually is. If you're an advanced mace student, you might know that step 2, or the lateral lunge, demonstrated here, used to be a crossbody top. However, over time, we've adjusted this technique to drape over the leg. Did you know I can use half of my mace and still have very good form in my lateral lunge? And I'm so thankful that I have this middle grip and I have the choice because it has taught me not only how to use a bigger mace, but how to use a smaller mace. One of my favorite mace. Now, there's a ton of moves out there in the steel mace vocabulary that have been difficult, like the bow and arrow. Did you know you can do the bow and arrow using half of the mace? And using half of the mace, you actually get to use the handle to drape underneath your armpit. And it makes this move a lot more approachable. Anybody who's having any shoulder issues or is just very tired during the rep and they want to protect themselves, you can use less of the mace. Now, I don't want you to think of using half of the mace or 3/4 of the mace or whatever the situation is as a handicap. I want you to think of it as a creative outlet. Because the moves were difficult to me at times, I had to figure out how to do the moves with an assist, or as we like to say in Steel Mace Flow, a guide. One technique that we absolutely love in Steel Mace Flow, and I would say if you see somebody doing a sword swing with a steel mace, chances are they're a Steel Mace Flow descendant. A sword swing is done with one hand. However, you can use a second hand to help assist while you do your sword swing. Not only does it help make the sword swing roll easier, but it allows for dynamic transition because I am constantly switching hands or using my guide hand to power through my mace. You know what I'm actually noticing is the backhand on the mace head is a lot like the backhand we use on the handle to create nice tension and timing in our beautiful hangman techniques. Flow-Osophy. Another philosophy that I ran into, and I'm so thankful to be able to teach again, to teach one-on-one, to get to bounce ideas off of my students, to teach them philosophies. I think it is very natural when you swing a mace to move. I think it's very natural. I think it's very difficult. I think it's very, very difficult to swing your mace and not let it swing you. Can I give you an example of what I mean by that? Sometimes it's better to see. And let me just click on one thing real quick. I apologize. Boom. Ah. Here is me swinging my mace. Yeah, Leo, we can tell. You are swinging a mace. Very good. What you'll notice is there's no shifting in my lower body. There's no shifting in my upper body. The only thing that is rotating are my shoulders into my grip. Now, let me show you a swing in where the mace is swinging me. I just kind of along for the ride. But I think it's natural. I think it's very natural to move when you swing. But when you're moving, is it selective? Are you choosing to do it or are you being forced to do it? And there's no right way. There's no one right way, I should say. I think what you should do is you should study both. You should learn how to move with your mace. It's very evident that I teach people how to hold their ground as they build their relationship with their mace. And as they further their relationship with the mace, I encourage my students and teach my students how to funnel rotation rather than challenge rotation through anti-rotation and counter-rotation. I think it's very important. I think it is one of the end goals of anybody I've talked to They want to flow freely with their mace. And I applaud you for doing both. But this is the important part. It's not only important to do both, but it's important not to argue with what you should be doing, what you have to do with the mace. I think it's I think it's something worth laughing at, or something that I get a chuckle out of. I've had several students come into my class and learn the level 1 system, which teaches you to hold your ground and how to grow in strength. And then write their own steel mace programs based off of how I perform with the mace, which is very fluid, funneling rotation, not only swinging my mace, but letting my mace swing me, letting my mace put me in position rather than fighting it for position. And there's no wrong way. I think the only wrong way, yeah, I don't think, in my experience, the wrong way is telling people what they should not do with the mace. It has caused a lot of conflict in the mace world. And I got to be honest with you, a lot of that conflict has led to other beautiful practices of the mace. And so your Flow-Osophy lesson of the day. There's more than one way to do it. There's a lot of ways to do it, and you should enjoy them all. It's not always about stopping rotation. I think it's more about having a relationship with rotation. And that relationship is like a 360. It's full circle. It encompasses various ways to swing, and I hope that circle will get bigger, and there will be new ways of swinging the mace or performing with the mace. Also, very important, you can work your way up the mace. You can change the dynamic of the mace based on working your way up the mace. Not everything, not everything in fitness is about strength. Matter of fact, in order to get fit, first you need to learn and hone a skill. But over time, as you hone that skill, you start to discover yourself. And I think that's the journey. That was a good lesson today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Something I've always loved is you cannot move incorrectly with the mace. Yeah, I think like with anything, if you love it, you will refine it. If you love it, you're not going to stop doing it. You'll just refine it. And so my swings have changed over the years. My philosophies have changed over the years, and I've been taught a lot by my good friend and students of the mace. Oh, I love that sound. So, instead of waiting for your lightning blue mace to come out from Synergy, um, use half your mace. It's amazing the things you will discover. It's amazing. Some people even say, amazing. Yes. Swing with many things. Another philosophy I have and have practiced forever is whatever I have done with the mace, I have done with many different tools. Although I can say this is my first cactus flow. Flow is life, man. What you can do with one thing, you can do with all things. Thank you guys so much for being part of Flow-Osophy number 2, episode 43 of Steel Mace Flow. Really appreciate you guys, your activity here in the chat. Still Muncher, thank you so much. And that's that. Guys, party on. It was a good day. Thank you so much for sharing it with me, and I will talk to you later.